look at images really as a collection of data, and I use that data, either abstracting it or modifying it or manipulating it to arrive at the image that I want. So basically what I do in making my paintings is there's a CNC machine, and a CNC machine is basically a very large XY control system that moves to very specific locations. What I've done is I've taken CNC technology, and to it I've taken different types of paint applicating systems, and I use them to apply paint and make my paintings. When I started working with it, I was taking CAD drawings and deconstructing them manually, and then I would take those files and hand convert them into machine control files. Now I have an application that deconstructs the images and translates them into a series of machine instruction files. A lot of the paintings that I've been doing recently, I've been living in Miami part-time, and my studio's here. And what I'll do oftentimes is I'll send the file to my assistant, and she will actually execute the painting. And to me, that's a perfectly natural process, because the painting is just this culmination of an event that starts when I take the image and I alter the image, that is just another path along this data stream. When I went back to painting after spending years in the software business, I was interested in photography, but I was also interested in how I could make something that really you couldn't see without the aid of technology. So I started experimenting with these technologies. I started taking photographs and taking single pixel rows and extruding them out of these photographs. Even though it was just reduced down to a single row of pixels, the color rhythms had an organic quality to it. And most of my images are photo-based. Photography is an integral part of my practice, in that I start with that as kind of an informational source. Things like surveillance, things on the internet, images people have taken randomly on vacation and holidays. We live in a society where people walk around with cameras everywhere now. It's fascinating to me. We have these notions of privacy that came about in a non-digital age where, there wasn't CCTV cameras at every intersection. There weren't traffic cameras capturing our license plates all the time. We have this idea that none of these things exist. We're really oblivious to them. Texas Department of Transportation had these highway cameras out there, and I thought it was wild. Here we have these cameras in the middle of nowhere. It seemed to me kind of a technology waiting for something to happen. I contacted the Texas Department of Transportation. I said, I'd be interested in licensing the rights to use these. And they thought that was ridiculous. They were like, okay, sure. There's always been this grand tradition in American art of painting landscapes, and so taking that and using this remote technology to create paintings, I thought was kind of fun. Around the time of the subway bombings in London, I saw these CCTV images that were captured, and I thought that they were incredible because they were being enlarged and shrank and sent all over the world, and they were being reformatted and recontextualized. And I thought there was something fascinating about the way that these images were not static at all, but were incredibly dynamic. So I used that as a jumping off point, and I started doing these paintings that were based on CCTV images, and that's kind of got me into a body of work that I'm still working with today. Albeit a lot of the images I work with now are a little more accessible. I'm interested in some of the privacy issues surrounding things like where we photograph on beaches and around hotels. When you go out on a beach, for example, and there's 500 people with cameras and everybody's shooting each other, I have no idea, for example, how many photographs that I appear in. So basically what we're doing here is we're working on a painting. This is the software. It's controlled by a laptop. So if I hit resume, this machine is going to start moving. And as you can see, the dots are being applied. The red paint is being applied by the machine. And it's fairly straightforward. The dot size is controlled by the pressure to the valve, the timing of the release of the air to the valve, and the overall pressure of the paint. Ironically, there's a great deal of things that can go wrong, and inevitably, despite some of the aspects of it that give it the uniformity and the consistency, it always goes wrong. And that's one of the things that I personally really like about working with machinery, is it does have some of these anthropomorphic qualities. There's a point with each of these paintings which is quite exciting, where all of a sudden you see what the image is, and it kind of reveals itself. From a photographic standpoint, anybody can take a picture and have it, be very recognizable, have all the information there. When we step back from that, there's this place where an image is just kind of starting to decay. The information, the paint gives it this quality that we can appreciate it as paint, and we're not so caught in the formal qualities of the image. And it also gives us this ability to read into it because it isn't as literal. I think many artists are very comfortable observers. I'm very introverted. I'm very comfortable standing back in kind of a remote space and seeing something. As an artist, the only thing I know how to do is make pictures. Although I know there are larger cultural and larger political dialogues that occur, if making pictures and making paintings is a way to allow other people to approach something that they might not otherwise feel comfortable approaching, then my work is successful.